Welcome back to the Gold Series. I am D2, and with me is Shrink, and we just saw Buer take out Sword, and Sword, the I-League champion, is out of the tournament. That means that Buer advances to the decider match, which is going to be played between him and the loser of the match coming up between Zhangbo and MrHumor. That means that the winner between MrHumor and Zhangbo will advance to the round of 16. So basically, we have two of the remaining players moving on. One of these players is going to be out of the tournament after all this happens. And just to refresh you guys on who these players are, Zhangbo is the number one seed in this group by virtue of having won the Gold Series Xi'an to come into this, as we see the bracket on the screen there. Just to, since a lot of the people in the chat, I assume, don't really read Chinese, the player on the top there is Zhangbo. Did defeat Buer in the first match and moved to the right side, which is the winner's side. And then below that, Invictus Gaming Sword lost to World Elite to MrHumor, and then Sword fell down to the losers bracket where he fell to Buer, and he is out, as we just saw Zhangbo. And now we're looking at MrHumor. Shrink, I gotta ask, who do you think is going to win this match? Who do you favor in this situation, as we see the ban on the Mage and the Warlock of these two players?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you don't want to see that double annoying chunk coming out from the Mech Mage. And I think Zhangbo has a decent chance, even though MrHumor definitely is the most famous player, and I think actually Zhangbo would probably do it. And another thing about last match is actually all the Invictus players are now out of the tournament.
Wow. So Invictus Gaming, unfortunately, they have no players remaining, as Shrink just mentioned. Excuse me. Interesting ban on the Mage there. Typically you see a ban on something like a Freeze Mage, but it is going to be the Mech Mage. And that means we might just see, these Patient Warriors go at it, and that is indeed going to be the case. So this matchup is very interesting. I actually haven't seen this mirror matchup in a long time. And what it comes down to is if one player can secure a board of patrons, the game is basically over, because you no longer run, a brawl tech in either deck. On the other hand, having Harrison can be pretty good as well. It does prevent, usually, the patrons coming on the side of your opponent's board. But, I mean, this matchup is so different from, the pre-Warsong times, because there's so many, mid-game options for both players.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even before the Wars on Earth, you still want to get a lot of patrons in early game, especially around turn 5, turn 6. Zhangbo has both the one warring effect and the inner rage, but he doesn't have any patrons yet, and that's why might be got rid of by the Harrison as well. So MrHumor just here power and pass probably don't want anything crazy to happen with that inner rage, which definitely could be a possibility there.
Right. He could have, gone for a bit of a greedy play and tried to get his Acolyte on the field, just trade cards there. But I feel like this probably works out a bit better for him. I'm curious actually to see if we see the Zhangbo hit the face with his Acolyte. He might want to prevent his opponent from being able to Battle Rage this coming turn, but looks like he's going to actually hit the face here and prepare for a potential patron turn coming up next. I'd be very surprised if he didn't attack here. So he does go for that. He prepares for the patron next turn, but he's probably going to be met with this Harrison. Just going to see the attack first, so prevent his opponent from drawing too many cards. And this is going to be pretty painful here for Zhangbo.
Definitely very not something as a patron what you want to see, and Harrison Jones is actually a very good card there. Because of Fairy Works and Dracosrea, which is actually pretty good. It can defend against the Cocoon Elite that MrHumor currently has.
Yeah, I mean, Zhangbo, he's a bit behind in cards, but he does have the board right now, as, he's going to have initiative after this play here by MrHumor. So as long as he can keep his lead, maybe he can find a chance to get his patrons out later, if, for instance, he picks up a Whirlwind anytime soon. We see Sir Finley Murgleton probably going to play that. He has a number of 5 drops that he can play. probably not the patron, but well, yes, you can see it. So here is the Mage Hero power, which is very good in this matchup. He can actually get a triple patron next turn, even without Whirlwind. That's kind of nice. So if you're in the spot of Zhangbo here, do you go for the Sludge Belcher or the Loatheb? I suppose you go for the Sludge Belcher because next turn you want to start getting those patrons out.
Yeah, and you're not actually playing anything around by playing those that you want to save it for later, for the kill or for the life. Even though for the kill, more probably given the situation we have.
Yeah,
Makes
this is such an
humor
interesting game right now, right? Because Mr. Humor has the overwhelming card advantage, but once Zhangbo starts putting patrons on the board, it's going to be really just a difficult game for Mr. Humor to come back from this situation.
That's definitely true. Slam, community hand, another one you want at point.
Gonna actually use the execute here. So the one thing going for Mr. Humor, after I assume we're gonna see triple patron, yeah, he even picks up another patron. So the one thing going for Mr. Humor is that his opponent doesn't have any way to gain armor. You just saw the armor smith die, and there's obviously no more armor up. So he might be able to erase him in the situation, though there is a lot of damage on the board. And is there a way to make his patron board too big? Speaking of Zhangbo here, or is there a way for Mr. Humor to make Zhangbo's patron board too big and then use Whirlwind to kind of start clearing out stuff?
I don't really see that coming because
yeah, it looks like he's not going to bother.
On the board.
Yeah, it looks like he's not going to bother. Unfortunately, he can't really sacrifice his armor smith, which is a bit of a problem here. And on top of that, again, with his mage hero power, it's probably pretty annoying at this point. Because now Zhangbo can make 2 more patrons off of this armor smith, just attack one in, ping the other one. I think you might just start with Battle Rage, don't you?
I think we do.
Oh, maybe, okay, you can Battle Rage now, actually. Okay, he can get 1 more card out of the Battle Rage. Gonna go ahead and do that instead. And picks up a ton of cards for his trouble. Gonna go ahead and play out this, looks like Frothing and Execute. And just really control the board here. Execute, obviously, a card that's more useful on bigger minions, but as long as you can take overwhelming control of the board, these patrons can do a lot of work.
That's definitely something he was looking for. Grom just cleared the board.
Oh, yeah, this mage hero power is so powerful right now because you can't ever just clear the patrons. They just keep coming back every single time. Doesn't matter, what the card draw is or anything like that. So yeah, gonna be actually a cruel task, it looks like here, and that's gonna be able to easily get rid of this Grom. Probably gonna use his 3-1 as well. You can even use his mage hero power once more, and then probably put up a Loatheb, I would imagine. Oh, I'm gonna put the Sludge Belcher actually, just so there's no more charging minion into this guy. That's the second Sludge Belcher actually from Zhangbo, but man, Zhangbo's really taking control of this game. Thing is, like, Zhangbo, he's played all 3 of his other decks are very, very aggressive, so it's really awesome to see him kind of really play well with the deck we just saw. Even after getting his board, Harrison, or excuse me, his Death White Harrison, able to come back and win the game. Obviously, it was nice for him to get that mage hero power, and things ended up working out in that sense, but just really cool to see. I mean, sometimes people talk about players who play only aggressive decks, and they think, he doesn't know how to play, just close their eyes and hit the face. But really, pretty masterful play there by Zhangbo.
Yeah, that's definitely the case we just saw there. Mr. Humor has Circle Paladin and Patron Warrior, we just saw, and Shaman. Actually, this will create really interesting dynamic between aggressive decks from both players. I guess Patron Warrior will get either win because it's really good against aggressive decks from Zhangbo there, and
Oh, sorry.
What
I was just my throat. There's a bit of a throat in my throat, so I wasn't trying to interrupt you there. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're going to see the zoo here from Zhangbo, and it's going to be going actually against the Secret Paladin of MrHumor. We saw this earlier in the day. It's a bit of it's like a mid-range Secret Paladin. There's a lot of mid to late game options in this deck, and yeah, just. I mean, even that egg, it's such a late game focused kind of card. So we'll see what happens. I believe there were 2 zombie chows as well, but I think there's also at least 4. I mean, I saw 2 Avenges earlier, so I think there's 6 secrets in the deck if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah. Uh, Avenge, Double Sacrifice, Redemption, and
right. I mean, I guess my point is sometimes you see, for instance, like a 4 secret deck when you're trying to play a lot of mid-range options, and the thinking behind that is, you don't draw any of your secrets, and then you get the Mysterious Challenge out, and it's a huge, swing turn, and then from there you're able to, just play out your mid-range paladin stuff, which is typically more powerful. Anyway, the egg hits the field, doesn't want his knife regular dying to any, abuse of sergeant nonsense, which we do see just hit the field right now. And pretty big board here for the zoo. However, there is a muster for battle. There's so many options here actually for MrHumor. Just so many things that are going for him. So he's gonna play the muster for battle. Just play on curve. He could have coined into the Ultimon and utilize his egg there. But by saving his coin now, he can coin the Mysterious Challenger 2 turns from now. So, I mean, both sides have pretty good options, but I'm really liking MrHumor's spot here.
yes, that's very true. Board here just let the egg remaining on the board for Zhangbo, but
Yeah, he might just play the Shredder. I mean, Shredder's pretty powerful as well. I mean, having a 3/1 that turns into a 4/4 is kind of nice, but also having a 4/3 that turns into a 2-drop is kind of nice. And so, yeah, it's going to be just the implosion, which rolls for 4, and a Novice Engineer comes out. That is very unfortunate. And now we're in a bit of an awkward situation here for MrHumor, because if he does go ahead and play out the coin Mysterious Challenger, then his opponent actually has a BGH in hand, and there's a 50-50 chance that there's a target for that BGH. Let's see if he does go for, it's going to be the Mysterious Challenger, it looks like. Going to take out one of these imps, and now we get to see if indeed this BGH will be able to kill something, whether he does have the beast in his sights or not. 50-50 chance, and avenging this egg is a big deal, obviously. So this is a huge roll right here. Absolutely massive. Could definitely swing the game one way or another. Let's see what it goes on. If it goes in the egg, it's good for MrHumor. Otherwise, it's really good for Zhangbo. And it lands on the egg, and Zhangbo, you can see it in his face. He's very upset by that. I mean, now you're facing down a 6/6 and a 3/4. If it landed on the Mysterious Challenger, you're facing a 0/0, and that's it. And so, yeah, definitely can be happy about that one. Going to be Implosion coming out. There is, I believe, either this is Repentance or Competitive Spirit. If there is Competitive Spirit, he will have a target with that BGH next turn. And
yeah, I think it's actually a Repentance we saw some time ago, but
right. And by the way, these players aren't allowed to watch the VODs, so Zhangbo didn't know that would happen, and this is just really unfortunate. If that wasn't Repentance, I mean, just the fact he wants that Mysterious Challenger to get bigger. He needed to get bigger so he could just kill it off. But going to be a lot of pressure here on the board from the Secret Paladin, and what can Zhangbo do to come back? Needs to probably use something like a Power Overwhelming to kill off this 6/6. Otherwise, I don't really know what he's going to be able to do here. I mean, he doesn't even know if it's Noble Sacrifice, so he's going to just attack in first, it seems. There is a way to... Huh, what is he doing?
yeah, I think it has the secret first.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna go and test the secret first. He actually run to the Knife Juggler, which is... Huh. I don't understand this play. Oh, he's gonna abusive and BGH the Mysterious Challenger. Okay, makes a lot more sense. What am I talking about? So you're gonna abusive BGH the Mysterious Challenger and play out the Imp King boss. Unfortunately, there's a 5/5 zombie chow on the board, which is pretty dangerous. And yeah, I completely forgot about this play that's possible. But yeah, that's going to be the play. And I'm gonna take that out nice and easy. There's still a lot of pressure on the board, however. But this zombie chow does come back and help him. There's a tearing, which is pretty nice. But yeah, probably just gonna be Loatheb and start attacking face with most of this stuff, take out the abusive charge until there's not that great trades, and yeah, just damage to the face is just so valuable right now. It prevents your opponent from really tapping and puts so much pressure on him.
Yeah, is there anything to say Zhangbo here? No, I don't think so.
He needs to kill the zombie job, doesn't he?
He has to, but that doesn't.
He's gonna power it actually, just to kill off this zombie chow. So he's gonna go back up to 10 health, which means he's not dead on board. There's right now with the keeper, there's 8 damage here from MrHumor, which he could go for to prevent any sort of taps, but he's gonna go for this play. I mean, Tyrion's so hard to deal with for any class. Even if there's an owl here, I mean, how do you kill a 6/6 and a 5/5? Lotheb's not going to do much. It's going to be tap because Knife Juggler plus that's not going to be enough. Okay, so Knife Juggler and the Defender of Argus is a thing. But is there a way to get through this if you're MrHumor? Okay, gonna actually just take out the Divine Shield so that, you know, so that the Tyrion doesn't get too good of a trade here.
Yeah.
I was thinking he might put it for in front of the 2/2s or the 2 Spectral Spiders. I think that's game, yeah.
I think that
the BM is so real. Oh wait, he's gonna do that. Okay, well he had it anyway, even without the cog hammer. So that was an interesting play at the end there, just to be able to get 3 attacks. So just showing us, you know, the interesting mechanics there. And didn't even need that cog hammer, says MrHumor. I got plays for days, and he's going to take that game and tie up the series 1-1.
yeah, it's interesting for Humor that he didn't go for the top deck, you know, which you always wanted to, because you kind of.
Well, that was I like going for the play he did. That was so fancy. I didn't even see that. That was one of the fanciest plays you're ever gonna see. Making your guy smaller so that he can die, so you can get the death rattle, but he still gets the trade in the Knife Juggler because you need 3 attacks. If there wasn't a taunt, you know, obviously he would have enough damage to go through the face. And but yeah, that was really cool. Anyway, we're going to go to game number 3, and it's going to be the Warlock, the Zulok, and the Aggro Druid of Zhangbo facing off against the Shaman and the Patient Warrior of MrHumor. You mentioned before that the Patient Warrior has a couple of good matchups here, so that's likely to move on. It's going to be the Shaman, up to the Shaman, excuse me, to be able to pick up a win. But we'll see if that patron can indeed pick up a win here. Every single win matters, obviously. If you can just get this patron out of the way and, you know, have that druid, you know, basically force the druid to get a win against this shaman and give your shaman another chance is very valuable. So definitely both of these players needing or wanting this win as badly as possible. As we start off with a Leper Gnome, probably going to be met by... gonna go for the Armor Smith. I'm actually a bit surprised by this. Doesn't go for the... unseeable goal, especially because he has a second one. I mean, putting the unseeable goal down kind of forces your opponent to use their hero power, but maybe he feels like his opponent might have to hero power anyway. But that's not really an assumption you can make with Aggro Druid.
Yeah, especially a lot of times want to save that damage is too big blow in turns, and you got a lot of them from that. But I mean, this is understandable.
Yeah, it's reasonable. It's not the strangest thing. It's just that usually the unseeable goal just shuts down little guys so well that I felt that could have been the play. Anyway, kind of an awkward situation here for Zhangbo. Doesn't really have much to do other than just play this Shredder, which will die. No, just kidding. It's not going to die. So probably going to see this Scorecard Elite and attack into it.
Yeah, I think that's a play because...
well, you could use your execute. Now that you've drawn a second execute, you could maybe go for execute right now. But then you're not really doing much anyway. So...
Yeah, problem is that you need to save X here for bigger minutes for fourth. However, for Dr. Boom, even for Drizzle Claw, will be better targets. So
Oh, he's gonna go face. This is interesting. So basically, it's not that Mr. Humor is necessarily racing his opponent. It's more that he wanted to be mana efficient and basically just play out this 4-drop while he has the opportunity to. And then maybe if he picks up a 5-drop, for instance, he can go ahead and play that, can Mr. Humor. But I feel like he just made that move just to be mana efficient. On the side of Zhangbo here, he has the opportunity to go for Knife Juggler, Darnassus Aspirant, maybe go for a swipe. Swipe would clear the board, so yeah, it looks like that's going to be what he goes for. And, you know, if Mr. Humor doesn't pick up a pretty good option here, he kind of has an awkward turn, honestly. But
yeah,
that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Unfortunately, that Shredder already got work in. Would have been nice to have that last turn. He's going to actually just armor up here instead of playing the Unstable Goal. Obviously, that Bone Guard Lieutenant can gain extra health with the hero power, but forcing your opponent to hero power I think is actually kind of fine.
Yeah, and the job was thinking about his opportunity. I think you want
Darnassus is nice here because what it does is this Knife Juggler is pretty threatening. So you kind of want to kill the Knife Juggler, but if you kill the Knife Juggler, then you leave Darnassus. And if you leave Darnassus, then there's a Dr. Boom. So basically, bad draw after bad draw after bad draw here for Mr. Humor. I mean, execute Whirlwind, all that stuff. It's just, he wants, you know, actual substantial minions, and this is not helping him out. He does go ahead and kill the Darnassus, realizing that his opponent's been playing off the right side of his hand for a while, so there could be, you know, Dr. Boom coming up soon, and he's absolutely correct if that was his assessment. Looks like the Bone Guard Lieutenant's just going to die off here. Zhangbo not really valuing that, just wants to get as much tempo onto the board as possible. And get a couple knives for his trouble. Harrison Jones is one of the last things you want to see here. But what do you go for here if you are Mr. Humor? Gonna just start clearing off this board. Pretty cheap way to clear off the board. And he still has you know, an execute for this Dr. Boom, but no real way to activate it other than throwing away his Harrison.
No, definitely what you want to do is just get a 1 damage off the Dr. Boom and execute it. Oh,
that helps. That's pretty good. However, it's still not looking great for Mr. Humor. I mean, these Boombots could clear his board. The Drew the Saber could clear his board. There could honestly just be a Force Nature clear on this board, even though it really works well with the... Okay, Drew the Saber plus Keepers is actually just better. So yeah, just going to be this on the board. Now there's 4 minions on the board, and that's way more than enough to kill his opponent if you know, anything's left on the board for this combo in hand. Actually, not going to use the Saber in charge form. I'm going to go with the Stealth so that I can get extra damage with this combo, and that's going to be game. Doesn't matter what this guy hits. Take out the Keeper, doesn't really matter. There's way more than enough damage here for Zhangbo. He's going to take game number 3, and he's going to be on match point, 1 game away from getting to the round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, this group, the nature of the group is kind of, even though we say that this is a group where people are kind of underrated, but it's also a group where you don't really have a player who really stands out. So it's really lucky for Zhangbo to get a group like this that he could feel rather confident to go into, and the results he's getting out of it is working its way as well.
Right. I mean, it's definitely nice to be going into a group where you're not intimidated by your opponents. I mean, we've seen Zoro already advance, we've seen Love advance, we've seen Daemon, aka Jihao advance. I mean, these are all BlizzCon, you know, qualifiers, and you know, whether or not they did play well, they deserve to go BlizzCon obviously in the first place. So they're definitely good players. But you know, intimidation could have been a factor there. Could, you know, lead to some pressure on the opponent. So definitely that is, you know, there's a case to be made that Zhangbo is benefiting from not, you know, facing any players that have that intimidation factor. But I do want to commend him for his really solid deck choices here, going for a really just aggressive lineup and, you know, potentially throwing his opponents off guard.
Yeah, talking about being aggressive, we have aggressive shaman from MrHumor here, and potentially.
Ooh, no one drop here. Does he pick it up? Nope, that's going to be a Doctor Boom. So, yeah, you saw Zhangbo. He was really hoping to get one drop here, but not going to be the case. I do like to play with the Leper Gnome rather than the Murgleton, just because he has the 1/3 Trog to trade into stuff, but he also has the Leper Gnome to trade into stuff. If there's, you know, a 2/2 or a, you know, 3/2 coming out here. So I like, you know, MrHumor diversifying what he puts on the board here. Now it's going to be the Murgleton. Not to mention that the, you know, obviously the Leper Gnome does more damage in the end. Definitely go for the Hunter Hero Power here. You know, if you're running out of options, you do go for the Warlock Hero Power in this case. But the fact that he already has board advantage is basically turning into, you know, Face Hunter versus Zoo matchup right now. You're putting so much pressure on the board. As long as you get a few hits in, your opponent has to start trading with you. And in the meantime, you're just kind of using your Hunter Hero Power to kill them and do the last part of the damage. Zombie Chow is picked up here for Zhangbo. He's realizing that he needs to play as defensively as possible. So the board is pretty similar here. We'll see if MrHumor continues or starts going face or starts clearing some of this board. There's some okay trades here, obviously. Actually going to use his Rock Biter, interestingly enough, to start clearing us stuff on the board. Definitely makes a bit of sense. Now, this stuff can't really be contested. And, you know, there's always, you know, basic sergeants and stuff like that on the other side. So, going to just go ahead and take control of this board and continue to hero power. This definitely makes sense for MrHumor, because the longer, you know, over the long run, he basically just to hero power his opponent to death. And he also has so much burst, so just elongating the game is actually probably good for him.
Yeah, this time Zhangbo picks up the. I think tournament the attendee is not that bad in the situation, but
he might feel like he needs to utilize the Immortal Coil to get rid of stuff, and there's so many things that it can kill. Tournament attendee might just get, you know, killed off by something crazy, but this is actually a pretty good pickup here for MrHumor. It allows him to buff up his Trog, and he's able to, you know, fit in his hero power. The Lava Burst didn't allow him to do that, so nice bit of, you know, cheap damage here. And for Zhangbo, it's looking really bad in this game.
Yeah, he needs Defender Vargas.
Oh, there you go. There it is. We found it. So there is the Defender Vargas. Exactly. Nice call. You're turning into a regular Frodan. Or who was it that was calling a lot of cards? Was it Noxious? We have our own Noxious here at HSCN, guys. His name is Shrink. And I really can't see how you don't go for the Defender Vargas here. Gets a couple of, or gets one good trade at least, and can block off, or with the, you know, egg as well. But, you know, MrHumor, he has direct damage from hand. Going to need to be seeing. Yeah, he's just gonna play this out and just kill off this Dark Peddler. He has so much damage right now. So basically, if Zhangbo doesn't pick up Void Caller and Mal'Ganis, he's going to be in trouble. He needs a Void Caller plus Power Overwhelming his Void Caller and get Mal'Ganis. And if not, he's just going to be struggling here.
I think low tap would help a lot, but
depends on if he thinks he's.
Save you one more turn.
Yeah, I think that. Okay, there's going to be 5 mana for MrHumor here, which means I think he just wins the game because he's going to Lava Burst and Hero Power of the face. But I understand where Zhangbo's coming from. He wants to save. He's just hoping that his opponent doesn't have Burst right now. And if he doesn't have Burst right now, then he can Loatheb next turn and then cut off the damage. But unfortunately, the Loatheb's 1 turn too late in this situation. But I do like to play. Sometimes you want to Loatheb right before they're about to kill you, right? Unfortunately, his opponent had the 1 card that would prevent him from, or would allow him just hero power for the win here. So there's going to be the win for MrHumor. We are going to game number 5, folks. It's going down to the wire. Which player will make it first to the round of 16 out of this group will be MrHumor or Zhangbo. It's going to be the Zoo of Zhangbo versus the Patron Warrior of MrHumor. Zhangbo, by the way, did win the Gold Series Xi'an, so that's his qualification here. Going to obviously look to continue that success here. Doesn't want to make it seem like a fluke. On the other hand, MrHumor has been around the scene for a while. Participated in the Hearthstone team, for both Team EDG and then for Team World Elite when he was transferred over. He got third in the Wuhan Gold Series, and he also got to the round of 4 in the G League. So putting up some placements here. Maybe this will be his breakout. We'll see if he can manage to get out of this group in first place, as we see the opening mulligans for these two. And gonna mulligan away the Armorsmith. I suppose Armorsmith doesn't really trade too well with anything in Zoo, so maybe he just really wanted to get those weapons. And yeah, just gonna throw everything away, even the Corcoran Elite. Really looking for those weapons, and doesn't pick up a weapon, but does pick up a table goal, which does trade a bit better than Armorsmith does against Zoo minions.
Yes, especially with this Hunter Creeper still in Zhangbo's deck. This is actually really good opening for Zhangbo. There you got the 1-2 into 2-1 into 4, and but the last table goal can turn things around a little bit for MrHumor there, but I think you just don't attack and play your minions here.
Right, and obviously the placement's very important. He has two kind of buffer minions, minions that buff, not buffer minions, but they buff in different ways. One of them, you want to have the minions that are sticky or strong close together, whereas the other one you want to basically have them be sacrificed so you can hop them over just like a Flame Tongue Totem would. But, didn't attack.
Indeed is a mistake from MrHumor not attacking into the face.
Yeah, he missed 1 damage. We'll see if that matters in the end. Double Direwolf Alpha as well as the Defender of Argus here for Zhangbo. Let's see what he goes with. There's actually a lot of options for him. Unfortunately, he doesn't really want to be facing the wrath of this whirlwind coming out. So gonna go ahead and keep his his Flame Imp alive here. And this definitely makes sense because if there's a whirlwind coming out of MrHumor, then the Haunted Creeper dies as well. He wants that to come back. But instead, just going to be this cool task taking out the 4-1 Imp. And I'm going to put another Unstable Ghoul onto the field. Doesn't really want to, pop this Nerubian, or the Nerubian egg and get the Nerubian out. So I'm just going to leave it right here. And this game is just kind of back and forth right now. It's going to really, rely on the plays in these players and as well as the draws. I mean, obvious statement is obvious, but it's just, this game is just really kind of crazy right now.
Alpha already coming into the field. It's just, the trade from the...
So, yeah, I didn't put the Imp King boss up earlier. Obviously, if the Imp well, he didn't want his Imp King boss to be killed too easily. It would have had the Imp come out off of the Whirlwind, which would have been fine. But yeah, we're just gonna see this Frothing come out. Unfortunately, it just dies to this Nerubian. There might be kind of a fear of the Nerubian dying to a Whirlwind afterward, so maybe this is a bit of a bluff here by MrHumor. And there's an Enhanced Mechano. You were talking about it for Buer, but it's in the deck of Zhangbo here. Let's see what it comes up. This is absolutely huge. This is exactly what you want from Enhanced Mechano. Alright, gets a few taunts and also gets a few Whirlwinds as well. Or not Whirlwinds, Wind Furies.
Yeah, Wind Fury is something we don't normally see from minions these days.
This is really good, though. Sorry to cut you off. This is really good because his highest attack minion now has Wind Fury, and he's able to get a good trade off there with his Direwolf Alpha. And now the Direwolf Alpha has Wind Fury as well. I think that MrHumor has to Inner Rage Execute on that guy because that's 10 damage a turn. In fact, he's just dead if he doesn't kill that guy off, so he has to kill it. And that means
And he
he's
has
not playing Patron, so he has to Battle Rage for 1. He's just gonna play this out, but it's just gonna die to the enhancement mechanic. Actually, it dies to everything but the Dire Alpha, or yeah, the Dire Alpha. If there's a power bombing, I think this game is over. Let's see, how much damage is it right now? So 4, 8, 11. 11 damage right now. 3 damage will win the game. So what do you do here uh, if you're Zhangbo? Probably just use your Imp King boss like he was about to do there, and just hit everything else to face. But your other Imp King boss in the field, there's no brawl and patience, so you don't have to worry about that. Zhangbo's looking really good in this game.
definitely. Actually, that's an interesting placement of the Void Walker, but I don't think that matters too much. Very well, it's not a card that
Wow.
Mr. was looking for.
Look how happy he is. Yeah, MrHumor didn't even go for the Battle Rage, and that's so awesome to see. Zhangbo is pumped up after that win, following up his victory at Xi'an. Now he's proving that it wasn't a fluke. He's going to the round of 16 of the Gold Series Grand Finals.
In